Well, Holland, we're back in the studio. We have a full house tonight. So excited. Are you ready to play a game?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to play Name That Tune.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
I've never heard that before in my life.
Really?
No.
Oh, come on.
It's a small world.
Yay! 1,000 points for Holland, and the points don't matter.
Most annoying song ever.
I know, but you know what? This is the most popular and easily recognized song, and it was written by the Sherman Brothers for Walt Disney's new attraction, It's a Small World. It has been on 3 continents. The song has been played over 50 million times since the ride first opened in 1966. But do you know the lyrics?
Unfortunately, I know some of them.
Okay, some of them. All right.
But did you know that a guy named Christopher Winston shared in a 2017 blog post? This is what he said. Listening to music without knowing what the lyrics mean is like putting something together without using the instructions. He said, if you're a lover of music, take the time to fully understand the songwriter's point of view. It's so easy to fall in love with a song and not know the words.
I think I'd have to agree with that. And according to this other person named Walter Savage Landor, he says that music is God's gift to man, the only art of heaven given to earth, the only art of earth we take to heaven. So who hasn't had a song stuck in their heads or been frustrated when you've tried to name that tune? There's even an app to help people know the names of songs like Shazam. We want to know the names of these songs. We want to know the words and some of the parts to this idea of music.
Okay, so we've got this throwdown here. Is it the melody or is it the lyrics that have the most impact on a song and forever cement it into our hearts and minds? And since this is the future of words, guess what I'm going to come down on?
I bet I know.
Come down on.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, the relationship between melody and lyrics go hand in hand. They serve an important purpose. While the lyrics tell the story, the melody is what catches your ear first. People will usually hum the melody without knowing any of the lyrics. Melody can also convey emotions, a feeling of being happy or sad. It sets the tone for the song. Adding lyrics, though, along with a strong conviction from the artist, makes the song complete.
Got it. Both and. To talk about the future of words and music, we have composer and songwriter Nick Riddle and Jennifer St. Charles, a music educator. So welcome to our table. We're glad to have you on the Afterword. Hi, I'm Holland Webb.
Hi, I'm Amy Boland.
And you're listening to the Afterword, a conversation about the future of words.
Nick is a talented 21-year-old born and raised in Greenville, South Carolina. He's played piano for 13 years, studied classical piano, composition, songwriting, and jazz piano throughout that time. He began taking lessons in the 3rd grade. I thought this was also very interesting, so he could be on the drum line in the middle school band. Ever since then, it's been his passion, and he hopes to continue to carry that passion into music school and then a career of writing film scores for movies. Nick, we are so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit what's going on.
Thank you. Not much. Just living life as a musician and learning every day how to grow and to challenge myself musically.
Yeah, but I think you're going on a trip soon, aren't you?
I am going on a trip.
All right, so tell us about that.
Okay, so I'm leaving in the end of this month to go on a discipleship school in North Carolina. There we'll be living on the campus. It's this 52-acre farm. It's beautiful. But while we're there, we'll be studying like creative outlets, also studying like scripture and doing teachings. But I'll be studying songwriting there as well. So I'm excited for that.
Working on your craft.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All the time.
Awesome. That's exciting.
And Jennifer St. Charles is a music educator, a wife, and the mother of 2 boys, Caden and Dane. She's been teaching music for 13 years, 12 of which were in the state of Florida. Jennifer and her family recently relocated to the upstate of South Carolina, where she teaches music at Chandler Creek Elementary. Her passion in education is teaching elementary and choral music. So tell us more about that.
Well, that's about wrapping up for now. It's May. So for a teacher, we're like done. We're about to be done. All the concerts are done. Actually, we have 2 performances coming up. Some little people performances. So some musicals with kindergarten and 1st grade students. And we just had our spring concert a couple weeks ago. I know Amy was there in the back supporting. So that's kind of what's going on. But throughout the year, lots of rehearsals with kids before school at 7:15. Chorus in the dark in December when the sun's not even up yet. So, but that's kind of what's going on with me.
That's awesome. So let's talk about this because some of us in this room might not have a musical background. How does one start writing lyrics, and what are some important elements to consider writing them? And Nick, I'm going to toss that to you first.
Sure. I think the first part of any process of songwriting, for my process, is journaling and getting your thoughts out there, whatever you want to write about, whatever the object of the song is. Start journaling, start taking your thoughts from your head and putting them pen to paper. I think that is the biggest part of initiating the process in songwriting. But at the same time, the idea can come from a melody. It can come from a couple notes you hear in your head, and you're like, oh, let me play around with that. And then you might put it to words later. But for me, I think if I'm songwriting with lyrics, it starts with journaling first.
Jennifer, do you have something you could add to that?
I'm not a songwriter. I wrote songs in elementary school for contests and things like that. But I think like if your job is songwriting, I think that definitely like that would be a process that you would go through. I think people who don't write songs on a daily basis, I think it comes from experiences. Like worship songs, I think come from, things you're going through or, to help you get through something. I think music is really important in that way. But no, I'm not a songwriter, so that's a Nick question for sure.
Thanks.
But some songs kind of take on a life of their own, and some songs last for hundreds of years, and other songs get just forgotten. What makes a song take on that staying power?
I think personally, it's relatability. When a group of people, I think, can relate to a song, whether that be, there were songs that were political songs, maybe didn't say they were political songs, but had a political backing. Maybe that group of people could relate to that song. So they take it on as their anthem. Or for Christians, it's like this worship song. I take that on as my anthem. So I relate to it. And I think relatability in any sense of music is what can give it a life of its own and carry it on forever. But it's a small world. How can you relate to that in some way? I don't know, but
because you have memories. I think you have memories. Like we grew up going to Disney as kids.
So true.
And so I can like picture that ride as a child, and that song it plays the whole time. I don't know if you guys have been on that ride. It looks like it did probably, what did you say, 1966?
Yeah.
It still looks the same. It looks the same since I was a child, because when I taught in Florida, we would take our students to Disney to perform at the downtown Disney Waterside stage, and so then they would get to go into the park and ride, and we would ride that ride, and it looks the same as it did when I was a kid, and you have those memories attached to those songs. So I think that's a big piece, is for me, memories attached to the music and what I was doing or where I was or who I was with at that time. I think that is personally, how a song would last for you. But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a story. Can I
Please
share
tell.
it? Okay, yeah. But this is the one I talk about. I think she's been on about 3 of our episodes now. My great aunt moved from rural Kentucky to New York City when she was in her 50s, and she became a cook for a group of 7 people who had formed a little miniature cult, and they all lived together. So they were listening to the radio one day, and the song "My Old Kentucky Home" came on. They said, "Oh, Ruby's from Kentucky, she'll like that." So they carried it into the kitchen where she's cooking and put the song on. She said, "So I stood there stirring the pot, tears rolling down my face, listening to My Old Kentucky Home from the banks of the Hudson River in New York." But it's those memories that make you resonate with that song and that music, even if it's not something that would have ever meant anything to you 5 or 10 years ago. What's your favorite song?
I was thinking about this when I read what we were going to be talking about. I don't think I can say that I have a favorite song. I just don't think it would be fair to any of the songs.
I agree.
I would think, was it the song I danced to at my wedding? No, I think each season of my life has a song. My husband and I have been on a couple trips to Europe by ourselves. There's CDs that we played in the car as we're driving. And so we'll talk, we're like, this Coldplay CD was from when we went to Europe. That is our Europe. That was our Europe track. We're driving through Europe, and that's what and so when we hear it, so there's different songs to me. I really don't think I could pick a song. I have lots of favorite songs, like current favorite songs, but then I have songs, like I said, I danced to at my wedding, and you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's impossible to pick a favorite. I have so many.
There are too many good ones.
There are. And there's almost a favorite in each genre. For me, I couldn't do one overall. Yeah, it'd be impossible. There's just there's too many good ones. way too many. And it's like every day I wake up and it's like, oh, this is my favorite song for this day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, and then I go with it and I listen to it all day. And then I'm like, next day, maybe I'll pick a different song today. Or maybe it'll be yesterday's song.
Right.
Yeah. You can bring old ones back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, just the utilitarianism of music, whether it's because it's relatability and I can pull something. And I love that phrase you used, Nick, about it being your anthem. You know, so for today, this is my anthem. Maybe today I'm on top of the world and everything's wonderful and I'm going to be, you know, singing a happy song. And maybe it's not a great day and I'm feeling down in the blues and I'm going to pull Adele or some sort of, you know, whatever. Or maybe you need that energy and you're pulling out some sort of, you know, wonderful jazz piece that's just going to, you know, highlight that, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting because we do have some amazing research that suggests that we remember things better. Both of you talked about that. You know, I hear a song and it cues me right back to some place where I was in my past. So when we have things that are embedded in song, Education Week shared in 2017 a study that explained the impact of music on high school students. And those that study music for 2 years demonstrated an improved ability to process sound and distinguish between meaningful sound and mere noise. And this ability proves that the brain's sound processing potential may also impact bilingualism and aging. So let's talk about some of the benefits. Not just, okay, it makes me feel good and I have these great memories, but obviously there's some far-reaching effects of music. So Jennifer, why don't you take this one first? What are some of the things that you would say are secondary benefits to music?
Well, like you said, I mean, remembering things, like when you're studying in college and you're learning, I mean, I remember studying, taking Old Testament survey and having to learn the genealogy of Jesus.
Hallelujah.
I mean, how do you remember that? I remember sitting in our dorm room with college roommates and you make up a song. Like, there's no other way that your brain is going to remember all of that besides putting it to music. Yeah. So when you're studying as a kid, I mean, that's what you do. You make up songs and it helps you remember it. That's just, you know, so that one I think is huge. To me, I also, like, in working with students on a daily basis, actually reading and lyrics and watching a song. The curriculum I use is digital, and so we have the big Promethean board in the room, and as we're learning a new song, we see the song. So we are watching the lyrics move, we're watching the melody move, we're looking at the parts stacked on top of each other, and we talk about, you know, music moves from left to right just like reading does, and as you're, you know, going through the lyrics, especially with the little ones, like, it will highlight, kind of like karaoke, so they know what word they're to be on, they know what note, you know. And as we're going, so reading, I think, just because it is moving in that direction. And when you get to the end of the line, you go to the next line, you start from left to right. And so reading, I think, is definitely a big one. I interned at a K-8 School for the Arts, and this was a while ago because I am not 21. But they were actually testing a program with our students to see students who were struggling in reading. And I couldn't tell you the name of the program, but basically it was students tracking notes with their eyes on a screen, and they were trying to see if that would impact students' progress in reading and struggling readers. And based on our data that we pulled, it did help students with their reading. So to me, those are two that I see on a daily basis because I'm working with little kids.
That's fascinating. I want to ask a follow-up question on that because you talk about this idea that literacy is aligned with music. And I don't know if I had really put the two of those together about following and then doing the return sweep. And, you know, there are correlations to that. What have you seen? And I know because you touch so many different kids. You were at a K through 8 school. Ours is a K through 5. What have you seen have been an impact on students when music is some place in their lives that can be celebrated?
That's why I teach music. I mean, I like music for music's sake. And I think, like, you can take all of these reasons that music helps and you can throw them away, and music still is amazing just for the sake of music. But, like the quote, well, I actually brought my quote because I couldn't remember it exactly. But the quote that I have on my email, so when I send an email out, it says Suzuki, quote, he's a violinist, and there's a whole method involved with him and his teaching method. But it's teaching music is not my main purpose. I want to make good citizens. If children hear fine music from the day of their birth and learn to play it, they develop sensitivity, discipline, and endurance. When my students go in and they have to prepare for a performance, they're learning music, yes, and it's great, and they love it, and they're enjoying them. But they're also learning a discipline and how to take a process from, listen, we're going to practice from August until December for one concert. Like for a hour-long performance, it's going to take that many rehearsals because everything is so instant and so digital. And so if your internet signal is not working, you're like smacking the iPad. I mean, I have 2 young children in that if YouTube doesn't pop up right away, I mean, it's bad. Like, so to have somebody have to sit through that and wait out that process, I think is super important for our kids today because they don't have to do that a lot. Like, it's instant, like, you do this and then this happens. But no, like, you need to be disciplined. And you know, I feel that way about sports and other things too. But I think kids involved in music, I think that they learn that patience through that process. And I think that's important. I mean, and obviously the sensitivity. If my student can walk away and say, I got more confidence and I learned how to be more patient with the process and how to work my way through parts that were hard, that's more important to me than if they go and they're a musician. Like what they learned through music, I think is really important.
Oh man, that's awesome. How about you, Nick?
God, I second all that. I mean, that's great. I remember my 5th grade teacher. I don't remember hardly anything from elementary school, but I remember my 5th grade teacher, Miss Hayes. If you're listening, you're amazing. But one day she'll listen. We would learn science through songs. She would create the most like ridiculous songs, but they would always help us remember. And you know, you're sitting there at your test like, flagella is like a tail. So it was like, I mean, you would remember like
still remember
what it is. Yeah, it was like a rap we did. Like it drew us in to have fun at the same time. Like we're learning, but we're also having fun. Because I think since we're kids, like the toys have music on them. We're sung lullabies. I mean, music surrounds us from right when we're born. And for me, as like a person that believes in the Lord, I believe the Lord's singing over us all the time. Like when we're in the womb, he's singing over us. So we are surrounded by music. And I think naturally we're just drawn to that. So the learning aspect of it is, I think, huge. Like you can learn through the process of music. And absolutely, for my own life, the dedication you have to put into learning an instrument and staying with it for so long and learning a song and practicing that one band piece for months. Like it does carry over into other subjects, into English, into math, into science. And you're like, okay, well, I can do it in this. I can do it in this subject.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I second all that.
Would you say you've mastered an instrument?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You're never going to master an instrument.
Okay. So how long did it take you to feel confident in what you're doing? Let's pick the piano because I've heard you play.
I started in 3rd grade, and I would say when I was in 9th or 10th grade is when I was like, dang, I know what I'm doing. Like, but it's a lot of trial and error. It's just like, this sounds good. This sounds bad. This sounds good. This sounds bad. But never giving it up. That's a big thing.
Perseverance.
Yeah, 100%. You hear so many times people that started playing piano when they were kids, and then by the time they're in like middle school or like early high school, it's done. Like they're just like,
it was 11th grade for me.
Like
I can play Titanic really well. I mean, I could do the whole octaves and everything.
Yeah, but I think for me personally, not giving up on it and was like, I'm gonna do this. I knew at that point, wait, I'm good at this. I could do this for the rest of my life, so I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah.
For other people, it could be like, hey, I'm better at running, so I'm going to go be a runner. Then like, I'm going to give up piano lessons. I'll go run track and field in high school. But yeah, I think it was like 9th and 10th grade. I was like, dang, like I know what I'm doing.
One thing I also hear from both of you is a bit of passion. I hear some passion.
100%.
And again, when you asked about people who played piano and then gave it up, you know, both Jennifer and I, for those of you who can't see us in the studio, both raised our hands. So I was much younger when I gave up piano. So I can actually read music, and I played clarinet in high school. I am not musical. So I don't have that passion, but I could be technical. I could do it if I had to, but I don't have the passion.
And there's a lot of musicians out there like that.
Yeah.
There are.
But I think the passion and the determination
Mhm.
piece, marrying that together, puts you all at a different place,
Mm.
maybe than your typical average person.
Can I push back on that?
Okay, go ahead, push back.
No, I was reading an article not long ago that says, forget your passion. It's what's holding you back. Focus on your purpose.
Mm.
And that passion is emotional. It's something that will start you, but it won't carry you through. It won't finish you. Your
Okay.
purpose
I
will.
can
You
get
know, say
behind that.
I can
we're
get that.
passionate about something, but we're purposeful for something,
I can get-
towards
yeah.
something.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I've had moments of passion for music,
Mhm.
but they're
Carmen.
fleeting. They're fleeting moments of passion for music, and without the sort of staying purpose behind it that keeps you chained to that piano to figure out what sounds good and what doesn't sound good over time. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. No, I completely agree with that.
That was a good rebuttal.
Yes, it was. and the pushback, I think, is that marrying of the two ideas.
Yeah.
You have a passion and you have purpose, and that is something that's going to get through discipline.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that word that you added in there, because I think anything in our lives that we're doing requires discipline, whatever it may be.
What have been some of the most influential artists for you, Jen?
Going back to your favorite song, I think I find lots of influence in lots of places. I mean, we were listening today with kids after we finished our practice. We were listening to ABC by the Jackson 5, and they're like, he sounds like a girl. And we're like, we pulled up Michael and we looked at Michael. We're like, he is most definitely a boy, but he has a high, he sings up in that high range. And that's always been a push for me with boys too, is just letting them know that music is cool and singing is cool. But I don't know. I can't say that I'm influenced. Like I said, that can change on a daily basis. Like if you would have asked me a month ago, I'm like, I love Torrin Wells right now. Like, I love him. Like, I want to just sing. And then, you'll go to, you just hear stuff all the time. And my husband helps move that soundtrack along for me because he's always got an album. And he is not a musical person, but he has music on all the time. He has never sang in a choir, never participated in any type of music, but there's always a CD. So yes, we still buy CDs. Everybody's like, "You really want to buy CDs?" He's like, "Yeah, I want the CD in the car." And we have the case.
Crashes.
That's right.
I'm gonna have CDs.
That's right.
We were super upset when we found out some cars don't have CD players in them anymore. We're like, "What?" But so there's always a new album for our family, I guess you could say, playing. I appreciate a lot of kinds of music, even ones that I don't particularly enjoy. I think as a musician, you can appreciate and you can learn things from different artists and different styles and things like that. So again, that's not a good answer. I think that's a non-answer, but I don't know if I could tell you that there's specific artists that have influenced me.
What about you, Nick?
I think it depends on what area of music I'm playing in. If I'm singing and I'm playing piano and I'm like songwriting, Billy Joel, Elton John, Bon Jovi, I was like raised on them from my dad. And I don't even I didn't realize it until I started playing stuff and writing things. And I'd be like, well, that kind of sounds like Billy Joel or something. And then it was like, wait, I remember listening to that all the time. But then if I'm doing something more instrumental, I really think a lot about nature. And I love doing like little twinkle things and just very light, airy melodies. And I just think of wind and just wind moving. And that's just like the style I like to play. So I think I can take influences from all over the place. But like currently, a huge artist that influenced me and gets my gears turning is this artist named Laura Mvula. She's from London, and Mvula's Mvula. It's the coolest thing. But she creates harmonies instead of using like a keyboard to create like a chord. She uses her voice and she layers it, and it's so cool. And I'm just like, that is fascinating. That is like, people aren't doing that. And so she's just like, I don't know, like trying the future of music with that. And it's super neat. But that she influences me now, like in this current day. But it's like you, like as the seasons change, the influence changes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you guys have both talked about liking and appreciating music across a range, but there's a downside to that too. There have been some empirical studies that say that musical taste, especially a taste for electronic dance music, hip hop, or aggressive forms of rock, has been linked to substance abuse, problem behavior, and norm breaking. So what do you think about that?
You're the teacher. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I like I don't know about electronic dance music, but I like hip hop, and I don't know about aggressive forms of rock, but I think I don't know if you look at me, I think I like a lot more styles than you may expect, or at a judgment, like. I have never abused any drugs or had any problem behaviors. I'm a pretty basic person. I think to me, a lot of that comes with what type of lifestyle that you participate in. There are definitely activities attached to those styles of music that, people participate in.
But you don't see a cause and effect relationship?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't. What about you?
I don't think so either. I just think it depends on like the season of life you're in. I think it goes back to relatability. If they're in this season of like, I don't care, like screw everything, they're like, cool, this music represents that for me. I can relate to it, so I'm just going to live in it. But then people sit in it and they decide to like just live in that season. And I think that's when it becomes your lifestyle. That makes sense? Yeah, I too listen to stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, I can just jam to it one day and then listen to classical the next. Like, yeah.
Both of you said something earlier. Nick, you talked about getting your thoughts out of your head, journaling. Jen, you talked about oftentimes music is from our experience. Yeah. And maybe some of the negative aspects of music is where it is a single facet. It's one genre. It's not, if I'm going to have a diet and only eat, one food for the rest of my life, I'm not going to have a very balanced life. Yeah. So we're going to be healthy. Exactly. So let's think about this in music as well. So maybe some of these empirical studies are coming from someone where you said, Nick, where they're all in that season, in that headspace, and they haven't left that. They have not added to their repertoire anything other than that particular thing. Yeah.
Maybe. That was a great example, not really metaphor, but using like, if I just ate Cheetos, like I'm going to be unhealthy. And it's like, if you just listen to punk rock or like that moody stuff, like you're going to be moody because what we are constantly putting in ourselves, we're going to put out.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Did you know that the oldest surviving musical instrument is a bone flute that's between 43,000 and 82,000 years old?
Not surprising.
I did not, but we were doing a activity in second grade today, a little scavenger hunt with the orchestra, and they had to use one of our lessons online. They had their Chromebooks, and one of the questions was, what were the first flutes made out of? And it was vulture's bones was the answer. Wow. And I can tell you, I did not know that until we did this activity together. So I'm like, very interesting.
That is very interesting.
Okay. Yes, my second graders were like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty creepy too, right?
Hey, they're going to go find some bones in the woods and be like, Mom, where's the drill?
I had nothing to do with that.
Well, I love also the idea that music can transform so many things. In a previous episode, we talk about how disabilities are represented in books. And I think about a Bach who lost his eyesight, or a Beethoven who is deaf, or even a current musician, Michael Bolton, deaf in one ear, Andre Bocelli, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Itzhak Perlman. I mean, you think about people who have some difficulty or something in life, and music can transcend that. Have you experienced that or seen that in your life, or had that opportunity where maybe something you've had to overcome and music helped you get through that?
I think every day. I think, especially as a Christian listening to worship music, it's just like you get soaked in these melodies and these words that another human being is singing over you, and then you're then choosing to sing over yourself. And I think in that way it can be very healing. And I even think outside of that world, like music therapy is huge. And I remember watching this video of this elderly man who had Alzheimer's and could not remember anything, but would put on a headphone and listen to the music he listened to when he was in his 20s. And he would sing everywhere. And he was like, oh my gosh. And so it's like, obviously, like this music, it can transcend and it can bring healing in many ways. But for me personally, it's just been a lot of worship music that's going to be healing for my soul. And maybe I'm going through something really crappy. For a day, a week, a month, a year, like that's going to potentially get me through it.
Love that. Anything for you, Jen?
No, I mean, in talking about the lyrics and how, that with the melody, like definitely, like you said, and maybe going back to the punk rock and those words are important, and what you tell yourself on a daily basis about who you are or what those words that you continue to let infiltrate your thinking are important. And so, like you said, listening to things that are positive and that are uplifting. And to me, that's important with my students as well, picking music that, we sang, "This is me," like talking about who you are. And I've had a lot of students like go into the disabilities and stuff. I've taught a lot of students with autism, and some of them are better at music, I think, than some of us. Like they have a different ability to take it in. I don't know. We have kids right now at school that my little friend in our ESC class, my little blonde friend, he knew every word to that second grade musical, and he came in and he would sing it with me. And, so you're like you said, it does transcend like all walks of life, all ability levels. And definitely.
Wow. That's powerful. That is powerful. So our takeaway from this episode as we kind of wrap up is that music and lyrics are powerful conduits into learning and gaining insights into the stories of our world.
So tune in next week for part 2 of our conversation with Jennifer and Nick. We'll continue to investigate why songs and the lyrics they contain are so powerful. Don't forget to subscribe to the afterwordpodcast.com. Like us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, you're welcome at our table.